Locally here, we want to bring in Brandi Kruse, who is tracking local reaction to this morning.
Yeah, and certainly there's a lot of people in our state who are watching this with interest. We have a huge military community. We have a lot of veterans of the war in Afghanistan. We also, unfortunately, have Gold Star families whose loved ones paid the ultimate price in Afghanistan over the past 20 years. And also, there's going to be this continuing, I think, local story in the weeks and months ahead about how many Afghan refugees end up here. We're expecting tens of thousands to enter the United States. In fact, State House Minority Leader J.T. Wilcox, the highest-ranking Republican in Olympia, putting out this statement just a few minutes ago saying thousands of veterans in Washington have poured their hearts and sometimes blood into helping the people of Afghanistan. I just asked our House Republican staff to draft ideas and an offer to cooperate with state, feds, and veterans groups to quickly find homes here for Afghan refugees. Meanwhile, a little earlier this morning, I got a chance to speak to a local veteran, a man named John Nordine. He served 2 tours in Afghanistan. Like many Americans, he joined the Army after 9/11. He actually had a college friend who died when the second tower collapsed on 9/11, and so certainly this issue, being a veteran, is deeply personal to him, but also, he has so much invested in this. I talked to him about, given the images that we're seeing out of Afghanistan, what he believes the legacy of the U.S. role there will be.
For those who lost friends, Gold Star families who lost their loved ones, that sacrifice was not in vain. They fought for each other. They fought well. On the other hand, our involvement in Afghanistan, now that it's over, now that we have closure, the parallels that we can draw and that historians are going to draw between this involvement and Vietnam is going to be striking. And if we do think about that this conflict lasted 20 years, the generals and the politicians that were in charge 20 years ago were in Vietnam. And so what did we learn? What did we do differently? And I think, unfortunately, the answer is going to be not much.
Yeah, and you're certainly hearing some of those parallels drawn between Vietnam and now the images that we're seeing out of Afghanistan. Again, the president is going to speak at 12:45 our time. When he does, we will carry it live here on Q13 FOX. And there's a lot that the president needs to say. A good thing he decided to speak today. There was some thought before we came on air this morning that he might wait a couple days. But given the gravity of what's happening there, important that he speak as soon as possible.
You know what's interesting is when you hear the politicians speak about what's happening in Afghanistan, a lot of them are saying that our country was unprepared. This is when it was an intelligence failure. That's what Representative Jackie Spear from California just said. But when you spoke to John, he said this was inevitable, right?
He says had anybody listened or troops on the ground felt as if they could be honest about the situation, that they would have found this to be inevitable. And remember, we're talking about 2 separate debates here. One is the debate over leaving Afghanistan after 20 years, and many Democrats and Republicans agree that it was time. The other one is just what a debacle and a deadly situation it has turned into, and the execution of the plan to leave Afghanistan. And what John Nordine said is that, and this is what we're hearing again, echoed by Democratic lawmakers as well as Republican lawmakers, clearly the president, those advising him at the top, the very highest levels of government, not only overestimated the strength of Afghan security forces and their willingness to fight when the U.S. pulled out, but perhaps underestimated the Taliban and its ability to take over as quickly as it did.
I mean, so I guess I wonder if it's too late to sit there and say, well, how could this have been done differently? But I mean, you were just saying that John said this was inevitable. So does the timeline matter? Should we have gone slow? I mean, what could we have done differently to avoid this?
Yeah, and there will be time and plenty of assessment that is going to be done. At this point, though, today, this morning, the #1 priority is getting out as many people as possible, as many Americans as possible, as many of our allies and Afghans who helped Americans as possible, and then, reassess and figure out what we've done from here. I saw just silly reporting at the national level. I won't mention the network, but talking about, oh, will this hurt the president's approval rating? Who cares today, honestly? We've seen the images out of Afghanistan. The goal is to get people out and get them to safety.
Safe.
That's what's important today. And then sort of an assessment about what can we learn from this or glean from this, and how do we make it right to the extent possible.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get some answers when the president speaks at 12:45 this afternoon.
Thanks, Brandi.
Yep.
Thank you.